How's it going, you guys? We're back. K1GMM Steve with my iced coffee. Don't just started drinking iced coffee again this summer, so again more useless information. How are you guys doing? Don't know who's in there. Paul, what's going on, man? Stan, Greg, my buddy Greg, Quasimodo. It's the final countdown, that's right. Okay, first thing, we might as well get it out of the way. Life quacks. Easily remove scuffs or stains from shoes with nail polish remover. They'll look practically brand new. There you go. First item on the agenda, we're going to try something new. This is the first. I'm going to try and do scheduled live streams every Saturday at 2100 UTC. And Glenn, good to see you. Rob from Iowa. Good to see you, Rob. Hope you guys had a great week. I try to do these live streams, schedule streams, try and keep them short. I noticed in the live stream group on Facebook, a gent named Matt asked a couple questions, and I'm going to try and touch on that. And tonight, I figured you guys have seen me work some of these events and these contests and stuff like that before. So I figured, why don't I present something which will give you guys an idea of how I approach this whole thing. So that's what the topic's going to be on. We're going to start this scheduled stream every Saturday with the same format. Life hacks until it runs out on December 31st. And we're going to go right into a schedule of events. I don't know how many of you follow. This is for the contesters, casual contesters, guys that like working special events. So I'm going to go right into that right now, and I'm going to whip through some things. I'm not going to go over everything, but I'll share the resource that I always look at, and I look at this quite often. This is how I find out what's going on. 4 contacts in total of 4 hours. It's brutal, Glenn, isn't it? Hey, Bear, how's it going? Hope you're well there, buddy. 40 is coming to life, so I may go right into the Maryland QSO party right after this. So let me keep things moving here. So we're going to look at a schedule of events really quick for anyone interested. Let me pull this up on the screen. Where is it? There you are. Okay, we're not in July anymore, so let's go down through August. Look and see what's going on. We have a biggie coming up, folks. A bunch of big ones. Let's go down through here. We are at, what's the date today? Anybody know? The 10th. So let's go down through the 10th. What's going on? Work All Europe DX contest is running on CW for you CW freaks. There's the Maryland DC QSO party. Now, this is something I wanted to show you guys really quick. This is the WA7BNM, Bravo November Mike contest calendar. Excellent resource. So if you check this right and you want to see something that you want to try something you're interested in, click this little plus sign here. All right. And this will open another window. And this gives basically a synopsis of what the contest is all about, including the exchange, blah, blah, blah. It usually gives a place to upload your log, and we will get into this later, and the rules for this event. So and they're usually hyperlinks, so if you click on the link, it will take you to the actual event, and it'll give you a detailed rundown as to times, modes, exchange, classifications for station, stuff like that. So that's what that looks like. So we got Maryland DC QSO party. I believe we have what's coming up. This will be next weekend, the 17th. There it is, the big dog, North American QSO party. It is gonna be a flippin' madhouse. That is 1800Z through August 17th through 559 Zulu, August 18th. Phenomenal event. Anybody stateside here, even in Europe, get in and work that. Get in there and pound away at that. That's going to be a biggie. I'm only going to do month of August because we'll be doing this every week. 6 meter sprint is coming, and I will be doing that from the mountain top if I can find it. Ohio QSO party, that's another one I plan on working. That is August 24th. The CVA contest, I have no idea what that is, so we'll take a look at that. Rules at, geez, what is that? No idea. Oh, good Lord. Anybody have any idea what that is? CVA. Oh, Brazil. Oh, Brazil. Ooh. Hey, that may be a fun one, folks. Those of us in North America. Brazilian. Brazil, South America. There you go. See, I just learned something. Whiskey VE Islands QSO party. That would probably be a good one. I'm looking. Ohio. There it is. 50 megahertz fall sprint. This is the one I will be participating in from the mountaintop. And I may push a live stream live and make all of my 1 or 2 contacts over 4 hours. Yes. So that's a 2300Z, which is 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, through 0300, which would be, what's that? 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's fall sprint. That's all we got. That's 50 megahertz and UK Echo India DX contest. That's another fun one. That's coming August 31st. All right. We are out of here on that deal. So I just just hit the wrong one. Anyways, let me check the chat. Let me check in with the chat. Okay, Quasi, I will post links. I'll tell you what I'll do, you guys. I will post links for the WA7BNM contest calendar, whatever it's called. I'll post that in the description, so it's in there afterwards, if that works for you guys. Gareth, how's it going? All right, next on the agenda, I'm going to kick on. Where's my Zello? I'm going to bring a friend of ours in here. So let me see if Jared's around. And what we're going to do is we're going to do just a quick report on propagation, what we've seen over the past week. And I was kind of hoping to get a huge amount of folks involved in this so we could see what's going on all over the world, but nobody got me their pictures. I need a picture if I'm going to pipe you in through Zello. So Jared, if you're listening, go ahead and kill the stream, and I'm going to key up Zello and see if you can hear me here. So here we go. There's that handsome devil. Hey, Jared. Jared, how copy? You in there, buddy? W4ZXT K1GMM. I don't even see Jared in the chat. Yeah, he's in there. Jared, you in there on Zello? Hit me, dude. I'll bring you in. W4ZXT, K1GMM. You in there? You in there, Jay?
Yeah, I was on the live stream one, and not the personal Zello account. um, love the shirt, Steve. That looks good, man. I'm used to. Yeah, you look like you're ready to take me to church, man. No, all is well here. As far as the propagation here this past week, we did have a solar storm roll through here in the Midwest region. Before that happened, though, it was really interesting because we had a severe, well, I won't say severe in the summer, but we had a cold front that was, you had a high pressure system moving down from Canada, which is one thing a lot of people should kind of pay attention to with their local weather. Anytime you see a cold front pushing in like that, 9 out of 10 times, 6 and 10 are going to light up, sometimes 15. I worked 10 all day. It was a lot of fun. And then directly after that, we had a ginormous solar storm, and everything just kind of went to crap. You watched the K index. Steve, you were kind of telling me to watch that when it fell. And when it fell, everything started booming. Do you remember that, like on 20 meters, how it just started booming once the K dropped below around 3 on that? 20 meters was really, really nice. As far as other propagation, 40 has been early morning. It's okay. And anywhere from about 6 p.m. Eastern to about maybe 10 if you stretch it, but about 9 p.m. Central or Eastern time, it kind of hangs on. 20 is kind of where it's at right now, in the afternoon of all times. So not seeing a lot of daytime propagation on 20. Usually around 6 o'clock to 7 p.m. it'll start to pick up, with an occasional DX station from Australia in there late at their gray line time. So 80 meters at night has been, it's like a flip of a coin, Steve, and everybody else listening. So 75 meters at nighttime, you just have to listen, because we do have the atmospheric noise with 75. Last night, 75 was in really good shape. The night before that, you couldn't hear anybody. This is a good time of the year to kind of focus on sporadic E. Unfortunately, sporadic E has been pretty bad as well, other than that front pushing through. So what's going to happen in the weeks to come, I don't know. I kind of expect, I don't know how these people can predict. We got sunspots, right? We might have, but they're not really making any effect on the band's activity right now. So be careful who you listen to. A lot of it is just speculation and hype. So yeah, and I'm trying to think what else, Steve, as far as the if you depend on QRZ for any information on bands, it's really not that accurate, because they're late. They run about 2 hours behind. So if you're kind of dependent on the K index and stuff for EME and stuff for sporadic E, you're probably going to get it late. So it's good to check those beacons when you can. Definitely check the beacons. And I don't know, how do you feel, Steve, about, I notice here lately there's a lot of YouTube channels that are bringing in space weather, and a lot of See, it's for me, it's hard because if the local, meteorologists have a hard time predicting this, you would think that, I mean, you have to take everything kind of with a grain of salt when it comes to space weather. I'll send it back to you, Steve. I didn't know how you felt about that, and we'll kind of move forward.
Yeah, that's a Pandora's box, isn't it? And I am no expert on space weather. I like it, and I like studying it, but there's so much involved with it that it's hard. As far as predictions go, let me show you guys really quick what I use. And like Jared said, it's a crapshoot. So he had mentioned we had a geomagnetic storm last week, and it was destructive, man. It held at a K5. K-index held at a 5 for how long, Jared? At least 24 hours, something like that, or just under 24 hours. I mean, it just went red, flatlined at 5 for a long period of time, and that was destructive. Now, Jared had mentioned we were chatting, and I had a friend in my 11-meter days. He was a ham, and he told me he's big into astrophysics, and he'd been in the hobby for 30 plus years, and he's seen a lot of geomagnetic storms come and go. He's seen it all, and he told me, he said, when you have a geomagnetic storm running for any length of time, he said, all is not lost. He said, pay attention, go downstairs, get the HF rig on, check NOAA, see roughly when they're expecting it to start to wane. And oftentimes, this is what Jared was referring to, oftentimes you'll see band openings, sometimes extremely unusual band openings, as the K-index, the solar wind begins to slow down and the geomagnetic fields begins to stabilize. And I have proven that to be true more times than I can even count. And Jared just said the exact same thing. So if you see like the K-index, right, is through the roof. Now, keep in mind, that's only a level 1 geomagnetic storm, theoretically, a K5. But when you have no sunspots, it can be incredibly destructive to the bands. So if you see something like that happening, fine, go ahead and shut the radio off, but see if you can determine when it's going to start to fade. Get downstairs or get into your shack and just kick the radio on and listen to it and check it out. And if you happen to see that, because I noticed as well, Jared, it'll drop, even if it drops one tick to a 4 and then it drops to a 3, get in there, because all of a sudden things will open up, especially to areas that aren't common for that particular time of the day or at this time in the solar cycle. It'll happen. I guarantee it, and it will surprise you. It's very cool. Let me grab, let me show you this one thing. Whenever we have a geomagnetic storm running, I'll show you what I look at. It's not that accurate. And I've shown this to you guys before. Let me get over to the desktop. Those are our current conditions right there. So the K-index is at a 2. So it popped up from this morning. So it's unsettled. There's something going on. I don't know what the A-index is. Oh, shoot. But this is what I look at right here. You look at the 3-day, come down to the bottom, 3-day geomagnetic forecast, right? So I'll always take a look at this. If there's a geomagnetic storm running, see, it's supposed to pop to a 3, and it's right on schedule. Tonight, it'll be a 3, and it'll start to fade. So let's say, late tonight, early tomorrow morning, you'll see this at a 5, a 6, or a 7, and you see it start to fall. And look at that UTC and go down and get that radio on around, do it like an hour or two before that UTC, because this isn't that accurate. And it also depends on what part of the Earth that high speed, that coronal hole is affecting, that high speed stream. You know what I mean? So, it may have more of an effect than others, and that's where the A index is actually very valuable. So that I figured I'd show you that. That's the NOAA Space Weather Prediction Center. One of the best, and just to kind of tie it off, I don't want to get too long-winded here. This is such a deep topic. Suspicious observers. If you guys are not familiar with that, look up suspicious observers on YouTube. They will poo-poo all the garbage that you hear about us entering into cycle 25. Oh, we're at the start of cycle 25. We have sunspots. No, we don't, man. No, we don't. I hear guys all the time. I've been listening for the past few months, and these people get on and they say, oh, we have a new sunspot group. And I'll go on to suspicious observers, and they'll be like, that's the departing sunspot group on the disk. That's an old sunspot, decaying sunspots from cycle 24. It's laughable, man. And to think that these guys can predict anything like that. They see one sunspot or a group of sunspots they think is new, and they automatically think we're going into cycle 25 and we're on the uptick. No, we're not, man. SFI is like, what'd you say, Jared? 66? And just to give you guys a kind of like a feel for the SFI, right? A sunspot number of 140 is technically poor to moderate conditions, right? Poor to moderate. An SFI of like 180, that's good. That's good. We're at 60 something. So think to yourself, how far do we have to go just to get to poor to moderate conditions? That's like 140. That's more than double where we are right now. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Don't do it. I'm just warning you. I could be wrong, but you can't predict. They can't predict the weather 8 hours ahead of time. How are they going to predict that? And how are you going to predict an 11-year sunspot cycle in a matter of a few days? Think about that logically. I'll just leave you with that. I don't buy it. Bring Jared back in. Go ahead, buddy. Yeah. Let me see if I can get this going. Jared, go ahead and kill the YouTube feed, and I'll bring you back in. Go ahead.
Yeah. Let me make sure my.
Go ahead.
I think I'm transmitting. Let me double check here to make sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, like you were saying, I guess if somebody put a gun to my head, I would say we have at least 2 years before things start looking on the uptick. That's just kind of a guess from like the suspicious observers that we've been watching. These guys are brutally honest too. So if you like things blunt and to the point, these are the guys that are, they're not gonna sugarcoat anything for you there. It's hard to predict how good the next cycle is going to be as well. It may be worse than 24, the next upcoming cycle. But if anybody wants to play on 2-meter sideband, right now is the time to do that. Steve, I know you just got your antennas up and you have to modify a little bit. 2-meter sideband has been rolling really good. All 2-meter activity, early morning, late at night, up until about 10 a.m. has been very, very good. So if anybody wants to play some sideband, this is the season, and on 2 meters.
Jim Cantori rocks, by the way.
I've just got a little 7-element Yagi on the deck, and I'm hearing repeaters several states away. And of course, I stay up late too, and there's nobody there, but there's not a lot of talking going on, like pretty much all of ham radio right now. But it is opening up, so that's a good thing, man. And if you got a beam or something like that, you can actually get up there and play on 2 meters. That's the way. This is a good time. 160 meters and 80 are just almost useless um, unless you're up late and early in the afternoon on especially on 80. They're kicking off at about 6 o'clock p.m. on 75, 80, and it dies out around 9 and it comes back about 1. So you'll see a lot of shifting going on there. Heavy, heavy QSB on everybody, on every band. So yeah, take everything you hear with a grain of salt, man. That's the best way I can put it too, because it's I think we're in for a long ride, and that kind of brings up a topic of antennas. Now is a good time to make the band open. You have to have a pretty decent antenna up for HF. I don't know if a piece of wire is going to do it much good. A lot of NVIS stuff on 20, which is fine. At least people are talking, but to get across the pond, definitely going to need some kind of array or beam, some kind of aerial that has some sufficient gain to it there, Steve. But I'm sure you already know that. I think you've been out fussing with yours today. Did you get it fixed, by the way? I'll turn it over to you.
I kill a mic so people aren't hearing me banging around and the chair's creaking while you're talking. I did not, so I'm going to go to work on that tomorrow. I think I settled on 3-element quad. It's small enough, it's effective enough, so I just have to, there's 2 3-element quads out there that I used part of a 4-bay array. It's 2 bays right now, so I need to break those apart. And the problem is they're tuned for 14757, so I have to move those, retune them to 1442, which is quite a ways off. That's way off. So I need to just strip them down, take the elements off, remeasure them, and I got to check the spacing to see if the spacing doesn't need to change by much. Then I'm going to just throw it together, make sure it's tuned okay, check the return loss, and I'm out of there. It'll go up. So good point on the VHF. Just to let you know, that's what I've seen, man. 20 is basically here short. I was listening in the morning at around 9 a.m. in the morning a couple days ago to a German station. Some stations in Europe working stateside, but what's been happening with me, I'm of course in Vermont, which is in the northeast, close to the northeast coast of the United States. For those of you who are not stateside, that's where I'm at. A little tiny state sits up in the northeast corner, about 150 miles from the coast. And what's been happening is the skip, if you want to call it that, I know it's not the proper term, but you know how politically incorrect we are in here, and I like it that way. It's something to do with the hops it's taking, I'm assuming. It's going right over me, man. I was listening to stations in 6 and 7 land. That's like California, Pacific Northwest, Arizona, Texas, and coming back this way, coming east, like into like Colorado, Montana, that area. They're giving these guys reports of like S9, and I've got them in here at best at times, maybe. I think they peaked in S5, but generally they were in the noise. They were just off the noise, and it wasn't even bumping the meter. I know the antennas are working, so that's not the issue. It's just the propagation is very, very bizarre right now. And I agree with you, man. Get the best damn antenna you can get up right now. Just get up there. But don't be surprised if like the end, like on 20 meters, I've been working. Yeah, see, Glenn just said bands are very short. in very small openings. I'm seeing the exact same thing, Glenn. Exactly the same here on the up in Vermont. Short openings, sharp QSB, rapid. I'm talking within like almost syllables of words, where it sounds like somebody's taking a linear and they're flipping it in and out of standby. That's what it sounds like to me. Crazy. So, yeah, I haven't spent any time on 75 meters or I don't have anything up for 160 right now. We'll be going up this fall. So 40 and 20. 40 is a crapshoot as well. I actually am finding that 20 is more, you can work stations in a 300-mile radius on 20 meters. That is the most freaking bizarre thing I've ever seen. Randy, what's up, dog? So, Jared, are you going to stick around? Because I'm going to start the presentation on the contesting. I think this is something you could add to. Go ahead. Jared, you going to stick around for the contest? For the contesting presentation? I'm going to run through a bunch of things. You want me to keep you online for Zello?
Yes. Yes, I'll be around. There's a lot of stuff that you're getting ready to cover that I actually need to know as well. And for any of you guys in the chat that want to participate, I think we're doubling up, but this will eventually come through. If you guys want to come in and just, maybe help out a little bit every week, don't be afraid to, be mic shy. I mean, I understand that. I went through that for a while, actually. So, Glenn, Paul, I wish you guys could, just send, Steve a picture of yourself so we know what we look like, or, just, it doesn't have to be a glamour shot or anything. Just throw one up and jump in here if you would like. No pressure, but I think it would be cool to get different propagation reports from all over the place, even across the pond over into
definitely
the UK.
That's what I'm really
over
looking
into say Scotland or Brazil, or even out on the west coast here of the US. So yeah, that's what I got here, Steve. And I'm gonna sit here and listen and watch and learn. Because at the end of the day, man, you make a pretty good teacher. So you've helped me a lot. Actually, you've helped a lot of people a lot. So I appreciate that, man. I'll stand by here and watch and learn. Thanks for having me on, Steve. This is W4ZXT.
Okay, man. Yeah, you can go ahead and kick the YouTube on. I'll get going on this, and I'll give you a heads up so you can kill the YouTube audio, and then you can jump back in on Zello, because I'll ask if you got any questions. But we're off and running here, man. All right, let me kill the Zello, and here we go. What do we got? We got a bunch of fun stuff to cover. And this is courtesy of Tom, W3FIK. So thank you, Tom. Very nice of Tom. And I love this thing, man. This is dynamite. Okay, so I put together some thoughts on contesting, right? There's a lot of new hams, and there's some hams that have never done this before. Whether you're talking special events, QSO parties, contests, whatever. So I'm going to go over a few things. First of all, anybody can do it. I do not have a contest station, what I would call a contest station, okay? I have some decent antennas up. It's allowed me to win some events by accident, because that's not why I'm doing it. But it's a fairly simple station. I have monoband antennas, 20 meter phase delta loop array, 40 meter parasitic delta loop array, 20 meters, top of them are probably about 55, 60 feet in the air. 40 meter delta loops, there's a pair of them. They're parasitic. They run open stubs to load a reflector depending on which direction I have it switched. All the antennas fire northeast, southwest. Here, 20 meter loops are phased array. The 75 meter dipoles are a phased array. I have two 75 meter dipoles at about 60 feet, spaced about 43 feet apart. And very, very good front to back and reasonable gain. Actually, pretty savage gain within about, I think they suffer on the long haul for DX. I don't think they're really that good, but which tells me the angle of radiation is a little high, and that switches back and forth either northeast or southwest. So do you need stuff like that? Absolutely not. Do it with a freaking dipole. It's all about the experience. So here we go. The station configuration, something to consider for contesting. It's not like rag chewing. What you want is you want to set your station up for speed and efficiency and reliability. That's the biggest thing. If you want to compete, I don't compete. I don't get in that. I'm going to take these things off. So I don't really compete at all with this stuff. So the station configuration, it's really not that much different than anything else. You can keep it very simple. Simple is good. The more moving parts, the more things you have in line to cause a problem will probably cause you a problem at some point. There's a difference between, let's say, a station that's very simple and a massive contest station. There's a huge difference. Stations that are built for contesting are enormous. They run stacked beams. They're complex. Do you need power to work a contest? No. I'm going to work the Maryland QSO party barefoot. I'm not even going to turn the amp on unless I absolutely have to, and I shouldn't have to. There's something else to consider, and this, I think, is the most important part, is the logging. How do you log for these contests? There are some really good options. I can tell you all logging software is not created equal. There's two ways to approach logging for an event. You can do it electronically. The easiest way is to do it electronically using a piece of software like November 1 Mike. Hands down, I don't care what anybody says, man. It's the best logging software that's out there. It's free. 100% free. Interface is perfect to a radio. You don't have to jerk around with any fussing around like you do with N3FJP. Just set it and forget it. N3FJP is very good, but you have to pay for it. November 1 Mike, very good. So what you need for that situation is to set your rig up with a USB cable, if you have that feature. It needs cat control. So you want your software to follow the radio, which means everywhere you go on the band, and you'll see that when you've seen it on my streams, everywhere I go with my radio, my log is there. It's on the same frequency, it's reading the same mode. So think about your logging software. With that being said, a lot of these contests and events, some of them will not take a paper log. A lot of them still do. So you're going to ask me, well, I can't interface a piece of logging software to the radio. And I really don't want to run a paper log because it's inconvenient. Well, I've got a workaround, and Jared and I were talking about this. You can take November 1, and he did it at Field Day. There was somebody that didn't have USB functionality, cat control with their rig with the computer. So you can install November 1 Mike on the computer, right? You don't have the radio hooked up to the computer, no problem. In November 1 Mike, in the call box where you go to put the call sign in, when you go to make the entry, put the frequency in first. So let's say you're transmitting on 14250. You put in 14250, no decimal, enter. Every contact that goes into that log from that point forward goes in on that frequency. Now you have to remember to put the frequency in before you log the contact if you're chasing. That's the only catch. The beautiful thing about that is it's generating the electronic log for you. You don't have to use a stinking piece of paper and then take your log and input all of those contacts into an electronic log after the fact. You see what I'm saying? And then export the Cabrillo file, which almost all contests require a Cabrillo file in special events. If they're taking electronic logs, that's pretty much the standard. It's called Cabrillo. So you want a logging program that'll export to Cabrillo. So that's one way to do it, even if you don't have cat control. And it's great, takes all the paper and the garbage out of the equation. There's a bunch of software out there. November 1 Mike is probably the best free one and easiest to get running. There are a lot of them that I don't really know anything about. I use WriteLog, and that's a paid logging program. It's very passive, very good, does not try and hog the COM port. See, I have multiple pieces of software running on the same COM port. So you cannot have a log like November 1 Mike, N3 FJP. Those are poor hogs. And it just freaks the radio out. The minute I try sharing that with SDR console and another piece of software, it doesn't work. So WriteLog is the most passive that I found. There was one other one somebody mentioned in a previous stream, and I can't remember, but do your research on that. All right, logging. So let's say you're up and going for the contest, right? Speed and efficiency. So I already covered that. So let's do operating styles. I'll give you a couple of approaches that I use in a contest. I think I should probably have a visual handy. So let me get a visual. I'll get this up on the screen and I'll walk you through how I approach this, and I'll see if I can actually find some people. Okay, let me get the audio running. We'll need the headphones. Stand by. And I'll show you how I approach this from an operational standpoint. And I know you guys have seen me do this before. Hold on. And we have AM broadcast coming in. That is what you're hearing already on 40 meters. So let me see if I can find anybody, noisy band, with the Maryland QSO party going. So let me check this.
But the audio is out of this world, and
Okay.
Oh, very good. GSR, that's the new one, and it's Kilo Charlie 3. Kilo Lima, Quebec. Negative. Kilo Charlie 3.
Okay, so I'm going to mute that. So what you do, there's a couple approaches to this whole thing, right? How I approach it is I will start, let's say you have a contest running, I will start at the band edge. So let's say you're general class, right? So I'll start down here, down in this area. If their station's working, and I will work my way one at a time. This is if I'm chasing. I'll work my way one at a time going up the band from bottom. You can do it however you want. I just go from top to bottom or bottom to top, and I go station to station to station to station, see if I can work them. You can just scan and pounce if you want to. The problem with that is when the bands get really busy. So let's say you've got literally stations crushed. all the way up through here, you don't know which station you worked without putting it in. You know what I'm saying? Putting the call sign into your login to see if it's a dupe. So I would advise, if you're going to do it, that's the easiest way to do it. SDR console, let me point this out to you guys. SDR console is very cool. There's a neat feature. This is for you, Jared, anybody running SDR console. So let's say you're working a contest, right? This does not have a spotter, a cluster overlay on it. If you want to take the extra time, you can go to View, Markers, Add Current. Let's say you just worked a station here and let's say they're Whiskey 3 Victor Alpha Alpha. Click that and look at this. It puts a marker in right there. So as you work up and down the band, you can put markers in. And to get rid of that marker, I guess you have to go in here. You can just delete it. And it's gone. So that's one way to do it. That'll help you keep track of everything. If you're going to sit, okay, this is the other thing I was going to mention. If you're going to sit, let's say you find a clear frequency, right? I know this is Captain Obvious to people, but this is something that'll save people a lot of headache and heartache. If you're sitting and you got a clear frequency, let's say you want to go here and you want to call CQ contest. There's only one thing I can tell you. There's two things. If the band is extremely busy, set your bandwidth accordingly, your transmit bandwidth. No need to run full-blown wide in a contest. The second thing is, don't forget to put your call sign in. I do this once you get really rolling. There's people like me that are surfing around the band looking for, let's say, people working the Maryland QSO party. So, and you guys have heard me blow a gasket before. I'll get there and I'll sit there, right? So let's say this guy is with the Maryland QSO party and he's working a pileup, right? And I'll sit there for freaking 5 minutes waiting for him to ID to see if I have actually worked him before. You see what I'm saying? And he won't ID. He just takes call after call after call with no ID. Excuse me. See, it's no problem if you do that. You're not breaking any rules by not doing that. The problem is it's annoying to people who are trying to work him because I may have worked him before. So I'm looking for that call sign. You know what I mean? It's just really, really convenient. And to have to ask someone for their call sign to me is a little annoying. So I'm just like throwing these like little tidbits out there, stuff that I've noticed. So you got your two options here. You can scan the band, but if you scan it, do it methodically. It'll just be much easier if you work from bottom to top or top to bottom instead of just hopping all over the place. And if you're sitting on a frequency, don't forget to throw your call sign in every couple overs. You take a couple calls, throw your call sign in. Because people, I guarantee you, they will be sitting there because there's people like me that are surfing the band. And they'll get there and they'll wait for you to put the call sign in and you never do. So that's the other thing. Audio considerations is huge. And this is something I wanted to touch on. Sharp is good. In a contest environment, special events, good sharp audio is good. And I'm not talking horrible audio. How many of us have ever heard, and I'm going to, make a little note, Jared, what you want to comment on in here, because this is something that is a pet peeve of mine. Wow, I can't believe the wife's home already. So what you can do is you can check your audio via WebSDR. Just type in WebSDR in Google, see what you sound like. Do it before the contest. This is all prior to contest setup. Check your ALCs, make sure it's good. People think that the more compression they run on the radio, the more punch they're going to have to punch through, right? That's not always the case. What ends up happening is your audio gets so destroyed by doing that. Yeah, it'll hold your audio up, but it degrades the audio quality. In crowded band conditions, you need clarity. You know what I'm saying? The more distorted and the more trash it is, the harder it is to understand. When you've got QRM, that's literally encroaching into that passband, and it's just splatter from both sides, and you're getting pounded on, you have got to make sure your audio's clean. If anything, sacrifice a little compression for cleanliness. You know what I'm saying? I've heard, and Jared will comment, I have heard audio so bad I can't even freaking understand it in a contest. So that's huge. That's part of like the station configuration and setup. Check your audio. If they can't understand you, it's just a nightmare, you know. The last comment I had about contesting is, in my opinion, it's an acquired skill set for me. It's a very different skill set than sitting there rag chewing and even DXing. Pile up busting, it's the exact same thing. If you're trying to get in, you're working a DX station during a DX contest, and they have a pile up going, exactly the same as if you were just cruising around on a Sunday afternoon looking for some rare DX and you had to punch through. Exact same thing. But the skill set is very different and the mindset is different. I like it, but I toast, I burn out very quick from it. It's something I can't do well, and it's something that's a challenge. That's why I like it. It's just a very different type of thing, and I'm not saying that to discourage anyone. I'm trying to encourage you to try it. Even if you don't like it, don't do it for a long time. Who cares? You only make half a dozen contacts. Just do it. Just try it. And if you don't want to deal with the electronic log, paper log it. Who cares? But the skill set, and Jared can vouch for this because he killed it during field day. Totally different skill set. Totally different thing. It's very focused. Takes a tremendous amount of concentration. Here's a little tip for you. I haven't done this. I'm going to start doing this. When you're working a pileup, right? Let's say I'm sitting there calling CQ. I'm calling CQ Vermont QSO Party, Kilo 1 Golf Mike. Like 20 stations pile in, right? And you start getting these pileups happening. Well, see, that's what I mean. Being able to pull stations out in a pileup, and it's an acquired skill. And it's fun to learn how to listen to do that. One way that can help, right, is let's say you got 5 stations that came in. Your ear will go to one station right away. Let's say Whiskey 4 Zulu X-Ray Tango and Whiskey 1 Whiskey 1 Victor Papa. Your ear caught one X-ray, heard the X-ray, right? So you go back to him, but you also heard the Papa. So what you can do is you can take a piece of paper, sit it next to you, and when you come back to the X-ray Tango, right, just write the Papa down, the P. Because if you're like me, I don't remember who was in there in that pileup. So when you finished with that contact, thanks for the call, Zulu X-Ray Tango, 7-3, okay, ending in Papa. Boom. He comes in. Basically, you clear the table and the slate is clean and you can start over again. Instead of having this massive cluster every single time you call QRZ. You guys see where I'm going? It's a great way to do it. I don't do it. I'm going to try and start doing that. But see what I mean? It's an acquired skill set. It's something that doesn't come natural to me. And there are guys that are really flipping good at it. So let me shut up, bring Jared in here and see if he's got anything to add. And then I'm going to go ahead and move on and close the stream, see if there's any questions. Jared, go ahead and get Zello back on. cut the audio on the stream, and it's all yours, buddy. Yeah, go ahead, Jared, if you're listening to me. If you hear me, it's all yours, man. You got anything to add, let it rip.
Yeah, one thing that you touched on was the audio. You definitely want to boost your highs. And again, that depends on the radio. A lot of times you can do that in the menu. Like for example, like the FTDX 3000s, the 7300s. You can go into menu and set tone control, transmit, sideband obviously if you're working that. You'll be able to set your transmit bandwidth frequencies. Basically what you want to do is you want to try to get rid of all the lows. So you might want to take it from 300 to 2.8 or something like that, or 200 to 2.9, whichever one sounds comfortable. And if you can, boost your treble. I know on some of the Kenwood radios they have like a high boost, and you can listen through the monitor as well to kind of get a feel of what it's going to sound like before you check it on a web SDR. SDR.HU, that's SDR.Hotel Uniform, is a very good place to find thousands and thousands of SDRs. Actually have a map you can roll in and check to listen to yourself. Try to pick one probably about 500 miles away is ideal. But like Steve was saying, sometimes what happens is you get people that are 2K apart, right? And I found in field day that you can slide in between them because nobody cares anyway if they're 2K apart. If your high end, mid-range to high end frequencies are boosted, then you'll have much more success as far as making contacts. But you also have to worry about your filtering on receive, so you don't get a lot of people like, you know, hitting you from each side. So the best thing I've found to do is try to find a clear frequency. Some of these contests are very hard to find. If you can hold a frequency, that is the most important thing of logging contacts, or getting, you know, snatching them up. Go ahead and have your log pulled up, ready to go. If you find a frequency, hold it, for God's sake, as long as you can, because you probably are, you know, if you're paper chasing. Now, you can hunt and peck, that's what I call it, the hunt and peck method, from starting low and going high. You can do that, and you can have, that's kind of a good way to get your feet wet, in my opinion, when it comes to some of these contests. And yeah, let's see what else I was going to touch on there. Headphones. A really good set of headphones come in really, really handy. It doesn't have to be you know, a kind with a microphone or any particular kind of Heil microphone or anything like that. But if what it does, it just blocks everybody out of the room, and it's only your ears and your brain are focusing on the actual stations that you hear. It makes logging so much easier than having a entire room. You know, people may come in, the dogs may fight and stuff like that, or, you know, in my situation, that's what they do. So it allows you to you know, hear people better. And then when you get a pile up, like Steve said, one will automatically stick out to you, but another one will also, and just go ahead and scribble that on a piece of paper. That's always keep paper with you. because if you screw up, then you'll have something to fall back on. You know, like if you get part of the suffix incorrect, or the prefix or something like that, then you can go back and try to put it together when you put it in your actual log, electronic log. I think who was it? Was it Paul or somebody said that they use a paper log when they're mobile? That's fine, man. That's good. The thing about contesting is it's very intimidating. You know what I mean? So I would recommend the hunt and peck method, like Steve was saying there. Start from the bottom and go up, just to kind of get your feet wet. Work at your own pace. I noticed this at field day because there were some guys that were just it takes some practice for your mind to be able to comprehend and do two things at one time. So at field day, they had a guy talking and another guy with an external speaker listening and logging. Okay, but these guys are really not, you can tell they weren't really used to contest environment, and there's like a slope there. I don't know if you agree or not, Steve. It's probably the same because it's so easy to get distracted in the contest environment, but it's a good time to turn your phone off, you know, kind of shut yourself out, but you know, it'll kind of flow like a rhythm, almost like music or something like that. Once you get in that flow, you'll be able to log, type it in, and if you get it wrong, don't be afraid to go back and ask them. You know, even if you kind of have to be rude about it, you know, because I know they're just beaten to move forward and get it log another contact. So, I mean, the worst thing they're going to do is come through the speaker and bite you or something. So it's you know, it's part of the hobby. Fortunately, we had a lot of people that were very understanding at field day because there were so many people. I mean, a K and a half away, it was like that the entire time. And what I found was just people were very discouraged. You know, they're just like, I don't know if I can do this. And a lot of times I call it the zone. It's like a DX zone. You'll go into a DX zone, and you'll just start hammering. You know, it's good to listen to contests. If you don't participate, just listen to kind of get your brain. It's kind of like learning CW. So you want to train your brain to hearing all that and putting it together either on paper or on electronic log, or both. I use both if it's a hot environment. When I say hot, it's like people, the one that's coming up here in, I think, August or something there. So yeah, it's intimidating. I'm not gonna lie, it really is, but it's worth it. I mean, the biggest thing I've noticed in amateur radio, and we're amateurs, so being mic shy, everybody has gone through that at some point in their career, of whether it be CB radio or two-way communications of any kind. If you think these guys are bad, go to a ham fest and look at them. Yeah, none of them really scare me much, so I'm trying to think of what else. If you set up a log, this is something too, Steve, that I was thinking about, that you have to set up a specific, is it a specific Cabrillo or something like that we had to set up? Because you can have a log for general rag chewing, and then you can have a log for contesting. And setting that up with like K1GMM, you want to make sure you have it set right. So Steve, I was going to get your thoughts on that too, because a lot of people will probably go and download November 1 Mike, and then they'll try to put this together, and there's probably some things in the software that they'll need to know to do. I don't know if you want to kind of give a little tip there. I noticed the first time I tried it, I failed there pretty drastically, so I was like, and then I just went, over to QRZ and just started logging off QRZ. You can't log a contest on QRZ unless you actually enter the contest details and stuff. So, which is possible. It's not hard to do. It just takes a little bit more time. It is more time consuming, but what is that you have to set up, Steve, to work contest environment stuff on N1MM? I'll turn it back to you.
Okay, Jared. Yeah, if you want to get the stream back on, go ahead and make the transition. I'll dump Zello here and I'll address that. Just for everybody's information, if you came in late, my name's Steve, K1GMM. I'm over here in Vermont, and this is part of a weekly stream I'm going to do on different topics. And any of you guys can be involved. I can pipe you in through Zello, just like Jared. I'd love it. I think it would be great. That's something that, boy, there's a bunch of things that I forgot about. The logging stuff. Some logs are geared more for general logging. Like I use Log4OM. I love that piece of software. It's very passive. It is not a contest logger. You can't contest with it. Some contest logging software, like I just wouldn't use November 1 Mike for general logging. I do when I'm on the mountain. Like if I'm operating portable, I use N1MM because it just flipping works. N1MM has virtually every contest known to man. N3FJP does not. WriteLog does not. There's a lot of logging programs that aren't what I would call complete. So yes, you have to set up that logging program. If you're going to work an event, you have to make sure that piece of logging software supports that event. You can find that out by going online to their support area. Usually any of these pieces of software you can find out. I'm a little disgusted with WriteLog because I thought a lot of the stuff was supported, but not all the QSO parties are supported. But you can reconfigure it to work. You see what I'm saying? And it's pretty easy to reconfigure, so all is not lost. So to start with, if it were me, I would start out with a piece of logging software that will allow you to do both. You can set up a general log, you can still use that software for contest logging, because remember, the contests are going to have specific exchanges and specific parameters that are going to have to be set up in that log. Now, the beautiful thing is, in like November 1 Mike, it'll open a sub panel when you choose the particular event you want to work. It has all the information in there, so you just click on it. You tell it how much power you're running, your section, or whatever, ITU zone, blah, blah, blah. I mean, you just fill in all the parameters, and boom. It's there. You're ready to go. Opens the panel, and when you're done, you just click Export to Gabrillo, exports the log, and upload it right to the place it needs to go to. Beautiful stuff. So, boy, and you touched on something pretty gnarly. This is something I forgot to mention, you guys. If you're going to get into the special events and contesting, not so much the QSO parties. For those of you not familiar with QSO parties, every state in the United States has a QSO party. I believe everyone does. We even have a national QSO party. We have a New England QSO party, which is a group of states up here. It's huge here stateside, and they're a ton of fun. They're not like a DX contest. Like, we've got the big dog coming up. What is it? The Worldwide DX contest for phone coming up here. Even if you guys don't work on it, get on the bands and check it out. If you've never heard it before, it is absolute carnage. Total carnage, like what Jared was saying. They're like every half a K. They're just splattering in on top of everything. So that brings me to one point. If you think the DX Code of Conduct is employed during an event like that, get those thoughts right out of your mind. I'm just telling you, it's every man for himself. Jared's right. If you have a frequency, you bring out the biggest guns, the biggest knives, the biggest bats, and you violently hold that frequency. I'm not kidding. That's what you have to do. You have to literally hold that frequency with sheer violence. Otherwise, you'll get it taken away from you. That's the kind of environment. So if you can adjust your way of thinking to understand that, that's what you're going to be up against in there. Yeah. That's the way it is. And that's the way it probably always will be. There's nothing you can do about it. That's why it's not for everybody. There's the behavior. You will see behavior so incredibly obnoxious during a major event like that. Oh yeah, Paul. I'm talking like all the big guns are out. And all us little guys are trying to work the big guns. And the big guns are fighting for position. So sometimes you'll even hear, and they'll know the other person's there, you'll hear 2 stations or 3 stations calling CQ contests on the same frequency, and they all know they're there. They don't care. They do not care. Go back through my streams. You'll see places where I've worked a station with 2 stations on the same frequency calling CQ contests, and I'll call one individual one. You know what I mean? I'll choose the strongest one, and I don't care if the other guy hears me and he comes back to me. I don't care. I'm not working him. You see what I'm saying? It's, if you're going to play the game, it is balls to the wall, every man for himself, and it's just a bulldozer. You just bulldoze your way through. There is no ethical code of conduct. Take it and forget about it. It's just utter freaking carnage. And it's funny to me. It's amazing to see people come that unhinged. This is a hobby, right? But if you want a good case study in people's behavior, oh yeah, work these big events, man. You got to at least listen in there. Last thing. I forgot to mention this, and then I'll give it over to Jared for any closing thoughts, and then I'm out of here. The last thing, and this is the most important thing. What is the main benefit of even playing in this realm of working a contest? There is a huge benefit that you won't get anywhere else, period, while operating an HF set. And that is, if you want to learn how to run a radio effectively, the contest is it. A contest is it. You will learn in short order how to control the front end of your radio, how to get your audio as clean as possible, how to listen, how to manipulate the controls quickly and effectively, filter adjustments, IF shifts, noise reduction, RF gain. Nothing will teach you how to run a radio faster and more effectively than at least making an attempt to work these big events. And I'm talking event where the QRM is so bombastic that you put your headphones on and you can't even hear anything legible out of that roar. And you have to fight to hear, to pull a station out. That separates the men from the boys. You're never going to learn how to run a radio, in my opinion, until you do that. You don't have to do it all the time, but holy cow, you'll figure it out. Anyways, I'll stick it back over to Jared, buddy. Go ahead and kill the YouTube thing, and I'll key up Zella final thoughts, and then I'll shut her down. I think this has been kind of a cool discussion. And again, these are all things that this is me, okay? I'm not telling you guys what to do. I don't do that. I don't care what you do. I'm just throwing this stuff out there. So, but I'll try and help in any way I can. But again, I'm a casual contester. I'm not hardcore. So I don't sit here. That's another thing. A hardcore contester will put on a diaper and they'll have a cooler sitting next to them. And they won't leave the radio for 48 straight hours. That's a contester. So you'd have to ask yourself, are you willing to pee and crap yourself and sit there and eat out of a cooler for 48 straight hours? I'll leave you with that picture. Go ahead, Jared. Okay, Jared, if you're in there, go ahead and grab it, buddy.
Yeah, it's actually funny you said that because, a lot of people run the TXCOs and the digital voice recorders, and they've got it set to where they just push a button and they run off and smoke a cigarette or something, and because you're getting 20 over and 30 over on them, they're hearing you. They're just not coming back. They're off smoking. They're grabbing a bite to eat or something to hold a frequency. So, yeah, that's hilarious, man. So true, though. The biggest thing that I look for in these is just self-satisfaction. It really is. I don't really care if I get anything in the mail. A lot of people do, though. A lot of contesters, that's all they're chasing is papers and certificates and awards, and that's cool, man. That's really good. If you decide to go the Logbook of the World route, be prepared to they'll ask you everything except your mother's social security number to get that logged. So just have fun with it. The biggest part of the hobby is to have fun. For so long I didn't enjoy it, man, because I would just I felt intimidated, and it took me a long time to get over that intimidation and like mic fright anxiety and stuff, which I keep going back to. But you're going to run into a-holes in these contests. It's inevitable. A lot of times if you just sit back and listen, even if you're not working the contest, I'm like Steve, I do a lot of listening on HF. You'll hear guys that they sound like they're going to rip each other apart over a frequency. So and like today, for example, there was a guy, he was in the QSO, the Maryland QSO party, but he only wanted to work stations with Logbook of the World only, and he was clearly admitting that over the air, which I think is somewhat of a violation of contesting. So I mean, you're going to hear all kinds of crap on here, honestly. Have a little bit of thick skin and just clear your mind and go in and kind of like what Steve said, you gotta, it's a battle. It really is. It's like the freaking wrestling of ham radio, isn't it, Steve?
It's the UFC Ultimate
These guys
Fighting
are wearing
Championship
suits
of
and
ham
they're
radio.
coming out like freaking Vince McMahon,
Heck
what
no,
I mean?
Paul.
So, with the big gun antennas. So yeah, just try to find a little pleasure in it for yourself, because that's at the end of the day, that's what matters. for me to look down and say, well, I worked 240 contacts or 50 contacts, to have that puts a smile on my face. I'm not going to get any award. I don't really care if I get one, but it still makes me feel like I've accomplished something. You know what I mean? So, and to me, that's what it's all about. There was a time, and I see this kind of going downhill in most ham radio clubs, where people actually help people, and amateurs helped other amateur radio operators. That's kind of going by the wayside, and I would like to see that come back. I really would. So, there's people like in the chat, like Greg and Steve and a few others that have helped me, and you don't see that anymore. You really don't. It's sad. So there's always, if you find somebody that's the glue to hold everything together, that's knowledgeable.
Don't stop saying that.
Stay close to them. Stay close to them, because you'll learn so much. Be observant, be vigilant. That's about what I've got, Steve. And I'm not trying to make your head any bigger or that nose. Good Lord. Yeah, I'll catch you later, man. Thanks for having me on, and hopefully next week we can get more people in here, man, for sure. That would be great if some of you guys would come in and just talk. I know a lot of you don't want to put pictures of your face up. Maybe Steve will let you skimp. Put a picture of Homer Simpson or Carl off of Sling Blade or something like that, All right, Steve, you guys have a good day, man. I'll kick it back over to you.
All right, man. My bad. I forgot to switch the screen. I need somebody to run the production in here, man, because there's just too much stuff to do. But thank you, Jared. Go ahead and kill Zello if you want. And I'll kill this and get back onto the stream. And, okay, Zello's dead. Just wanted to say thanks, buddy, for coming in and offering your support. And thank you, everybody else, for your support and being a part of this thing, man. It's fun. It's cool. I agree with Jared. You guys get in here, throw see, you guys got questions, right? You throw stuff in there, throw it in there, man. Screw the chat. Jump in on Zello. Just find me on Zello, K1GMM, whatever. I'll get you in here. Just send me a picture, just like what you see right there on the screen with JJ the jet plane. Doesn't have to be anything fantastic, but it's all about giving back to the hobby, okay? I have taken, in 4 years I've been in this hobby, I've taken more from people in this hobby, so much that it actually makes me sick. Just send it to my email. Email's good on QRZ, or hit me on Facebook and the K1GMM live stream group. Email's good on QRZ, guys. You can contact me there. That's guaranteed. Look me up on QRZ. I'll get you in here. No picture. You don't get to play. You have to look at my ugly face with my freaking massive schnoz and my growing ears. You're damn straight. Your picture is going to be on the screen if you're going to play this game. Share the wealth. So I'm going to encourage you guys. Give back. I look at this as my way of giving back. There's some things that I can do, and I will take every opportunity without being asked to give back to another ham radio operator. You have to do it, man. Think about all the information online that's out there that we scavenge for, that somebody has actually taken the time to put online for our benefit. Think about the millions of hours, all the resources we have online to literally find out any information we need regarding anything to do with antennas, SDR, transceivers, amplifiers, cabling, operating. Oh my God. Computer stuff. It's all there. Somebody's taken the time to put that stuff online for us. Give back. No matter how small it is, give back. I don't care if you do it here, but I'm just going to challenge you guys to do that. And it doesn't matter what level you're at. Even if it's just your time, give back. Word of caution, do never, ever, ever expect anything in return. Don't do it expecting it to be reciprocal. Do it out of the kindness of your heart. Do it because it's the right thing to do. Don't ever do anything expecting anything in return. I'm just warning you. Okay? That's the wrong attitude. I've been there, done that. Chances are you'll never do anything for anybody again if you have the wrong attitude. Anyways, that sounds preachy, doesn't it? But I'm just telling you what's happened to me. Case in point, I went and I helped someone that didn't ask for my help. Total waste of time. I got mad because he never went any further. He never even used it. What I actually took the time to show him how to build. He never even used it. And that's on me. You see what I'm saying? That's on me. He didn't ask me to help him. I offered to help him. He said, sure. So I helped him build something. And never pursued the hobby. Just never even used it took me like 2 hours of my life to put that together. Took it basically, threw it in the shed. Never used it. Never even put it up, and has never done anything with a hobby. I got mad. I can't get mad. I can't get upset over that. I offered something that he didn't even ask for. So that's my point. Anyways, enough. We'll catch you guys later. Jared, thank you. Anybody who wants to be a part of this next Saturday, let me know. You're going to have to be on Zello. Send me a picture, and we will cycle through a whole bunch of madness. And also, if you'd like to present something, prepare it. Offer's still open. Prepare it, and send me any pictures, diagrams you may have. I will feed them in, and we'll make it happen. 7-3, you guys, thanks for stopping by, and have a super fun week coming up. I may be back with the Maryland QSO party. I don't know. That would be 3 live streams in one day. We'll catch you later. Go ahead and let it run for just a brief moment, and then I'll kill it, and I'll sign off on the chat. 7-3, guys.